To understand where we fit in the world as financial professionals is to understand that we're all humans. Now, every client that we serve is a human primarily, and then whoever they are to us secondarily, right? Whoever they may be in terms of a mortgage customer or a competitor or an enemy in terms of competition, whatever it is, that's secondary. They're a person first. They're a person in the world looking out for themselves. They want the best for themselves. They want to make sure that they have a job today and tomorrow, that they have income, that they have good health, that they have all these things. That we end up having is that a lot of people in business, especially given that things become competitive, they start viewing each other as enemies, right? They get into wars with each other. Now, I'm all for competition as much as it stimulates us to bring out the best within ourselves, and similarly within the competitors, and which ultimately benefits the consumer, but also benefits us because we're forced to have better work processes, work faster, better, more efficiently, do better, look within ourselves more deeply in order to produce better work and call the best of ourselves. Competition moves everything forward, right? But when you start having hostile views towards competing banks and forget the fact that they're just humans like us, except working at another bank, you start getting into bad things. So one of the training tools that I use is chess. Now, like in Silicon Valley, how they have ping pong tables in their meeting and break rooms, we have chess tables. And people end up sitting across from each other and playing with each other. Now, granted, chess is mentally taxing, it's not relaxing, and doesn't release endorphins the way ping pong does, but it serves a vital purpose of getting people to think very strategically, not just from their standpoint, but from other people's standpoints. Anytime someone's working in a company, they can get very tunnel vision as to what specifically they're doing right now, at this minute, and lose sight of the larger picture, where they fit in the larger picture. Now, when they're playing chess, they're essentially the CEO of that 16-piece chess team. They control the pawn. They control the queen, the king, the rook, the bishop, and the knight. And they need to think about how every single breach within their line can lead to the invasion of their team, the destruction of their team, the end of their king. And they need to figure out how they can play their pieces so that they have the best strategic advantage. One of the cool things that I also do, I encourage my employees to do this, is for them to play as if one team is Shah Bank and the other team is one of our competitor banks, and think, how would this competitor do it? If this competitor in nature is more defensive, not as aggressive, right? They'll play their pieces like that. They'll put a few pieces out, but not quite engage with the board, and they'll play more defense and counterpunch until they're able to hold off the defense, hold off the attacks, and then come at Shah Bank, right? Shah Bank employee thinks about this, and the other person and the other employee embodying the other team thinks about this. And when you really know the minds of your competitors, that's when you win. It's not just about knowing their strengths and weaknesses and opportunities and threats from your perspective, from our perspective. It's knowing it as if you're them, putting yourself in their shoes. And chess is a fun, mentally stimulating, and harmless way of embodying that whole thing. These are some of the many ways that we work to get ahead in our competitors. And the beauty is, the better we do at this, the more returns we get, the more profits, the better we're able to serve consumers, clients, other governments, other businesses, all that. The better our competitors need to do at the same sorts of things in order to keep up. This is the beauty of competition. So the better we do, the better they do, the better it is for the consumer. That's why it's one of my great missions as a CEO to ensure that we are operating at the very best of everything, cutting edge of technology, cutting edge of all the regular things, but more importantly, and this is my specific piece, what differentiates me from other CEOs, is that the cutting edge of the thinking and direction. We think about every angle, not from our perspective, but from every perspective. We think about every decision we make, not from our perspective, but from not just from our perspective, but from the perspective of how it fits in the entire world. And I train my employees to think like that. When they think like that, the tunnel vision becomes wider and wider and wider till it becomes 180 vision, maybe 360 vision, and maybe if there's another dimension up and down, they see a full sphere of the world. And that's why we're able to do really well. Chess is one piece of it. Educating them on what's going on that's completely unrelated to finance is another thing. Demographic changes, changes in attitude, changes in politics, changes in government. Some of those are directly related to our business, some of them aren't. But when you understand the full thing, not only are you able to relate with customers better, not only are you able to sound smarter when you're giving presentations to within our own business and other businesses to other governments, you're able to actually know and do better. Knowledge is the best power when it comes to a business where we're dealing with everything that happens in the world. And again, my job is to make sure that not just that I know everything, but that every direction I set is in charge and in service of making sure that each one of my employees, from the most junior, knows as much as they can about the world and where we fit in it.